Hello and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's live discussion on House of the Dragon, Season 3, Episode 6, Faceless Men. And I have a real problem with the title of this episode because there is a group in Game of Thrones universe called the Faceless Men who are not in this episode. So I don't know. I think it was a poor choice. It made me think, were those like assassins Rhaenyra sent Faceless Men? But of course not, because A, they sucked, and B, she didn't have the money to pay for Faceless Men. So why are they having... Anyway, I'm joined here by the usual guests, my sister Alyssa. Thanks so much for joining.
Good to be here to raise a glass. As I promised I would last week, I said I'd bring the wine as soon as Criston Cole was killed off. And here's to the worst written character in Game of Thrones history. May he never grace my TV screen ever again.
There was much rejoicing. Yes, really excited to be in here. Yeah, I know that. If you're going to kick off an episode, that's certainly a way to do it. We will get into it. But yeah, I'm really curious what both of you have to bring thought-wise to this, because I'm definitely mixed. I'll just say that to go off. I'm mixed.
So starting with overall thoughts in the episode, I thought it was better than last week because, well, Criston Cole wasn't in it that much, and he died right away. So that's already a big plus. But I don't know. I feel like season 3 is like following the same formula as season 2, where it starts off with a bang and then kind of just, has a lot of like, not filler, but just like a lot of like setting the stage and things happening and stuff like it, or not things happening, there's people talking. But I hope the difference is going to be that the season is going to end with a bang, unlike season 2, which didn't end at all. It ended this year. But anyway, so I liked it. So this episode was good. I think it's a step up, and I think it's setting up for something bigger to come. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Alyssa?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. I definitely like this one better than last week's. I mean, Criston Cole dying in the first 5 minutes of the episode definitely helps toward that. But I was also a little more interested in the character beats. I'm really more interested in... we could get into it a little bit more, but where they're taking Rhaenyra's character and her gradual descent into Mad Queendom, which we got a lot more toward that in this episode. And there are some interesting things. I am a little bit, concerned about the pacing again. I was hoping that we would solve the pacing problems from the previous 2 seasons, and then I'll reserve final judgment until I see what the final 2 episodes bring to the table. But there are parts of me wondering what they're doing, especially there's some big book changes, which I'll mention when we get to them, and then Mark and I can kind of dive into more of the nitty-gritty in the spoiler section about what they might be doing. But it being... And I'm not complaining about the book changes right now. I'm just like, what are we doing here? What? There's some major characters are in a majorly different places than they are in the book right now. And I'm like, I'm not making any judgment until I see where they're going with it. But I'm just like, okay. So, I mean, ultimately, I feel like my opinion of episode 6 in retrospect is going to largely depend on what episodes 7 and 8 do. Like, I think if episodes 7 and 8 come out and really bring it, and like, as you said, Mark, like end the season with a bang, which season 2 was not able to do, then I'm likely to think even more highly of episode 6 in retrospect. If we get another season 2 type of deal, then I'm going to think pretty lowly of season 6 or episode 6 in retrospect. So kind of waiting to see what they're doing, where they're going, to see how this all pans out. But before I can really give my final opinion on this episode. But just off the top, I would say that I do like it better than last week. I'm waiting to see what we're doing here, though, to see where we're headed.
Yeah, I think that's probably an excellent way of putting it, to be honest. I think how the season is going to end up being really depends on how the season's going to end up being. In the sense that, are these going to be filler episodes? Are these going to be stories dragged out, new strange directions? Or is this really going to build up to something? And I think you are right to reserve judgment on this particular episode and maybe even the last one to a certain extent, depending on how the next two play out. For me, look, I said all I wanted was, like, if you're going to take care of Cole, I don't care if you give him a big moment, just get it taken care of. This was probably the best opener in that sense of personal satisfaction. I had no notes, really no notes how that was all done. And there were a couple of points in the episode that I thought we had some interesting character stuff, reveals, moments, stuff happening. And there were a definite handful of scenes I was seriously going, what is happening here? I thought you were doing this and you're doing that. Or this doesn't accomplish anything. Why does it happen? Why is this here? Or for one of them, like, it felt like you're really stretching something out and desperately trying to put in some future lore ideas. And again, if this really goes somewhere, some of this might be interesting. But there was so much of this episode, I was like, wow, I feel like you could have probably taken the last episode and this episode, stripped them of all their unnecessary stuff, shoved them together into one episode, told everything that was needed to be done, and made me feel like I was wasting my time. This may end up being how the next two episodes go out, but for this one, I was a little confused, I have to say. I was really wondering where they were starting to go with some of these storylines that I was just not expecting the directions they went in. So, yeah, that's that. That's how I feel at the end of the episode.
Yeah, one big strike against this episode is that there weren't any cats in it this time.
Yes, I know. Come on, it was such a build up, and the cats never rescued. That was the other thing. The cats didn't rescue Helaena and Alicent. That was a bad choice.
Yeah. I think the cats rescuing them would have been better. Honestly, we'll get into it, but it was a little anticlimactic, right? For this cliffhanger, like, oh, we're just gonna go and get them now. Like, okay. Anyways, I know we'll talk about that later, but
cool. Let's go ahead and jump into the particulars. And let's start with good old Crispy Cole's death, the Butcher's Ball, as this is referred to in the book, because it's called the most lopsided battle, not really a battle of the war, where it's just butchery. So my first complaint I have about this is, last week I said how I felt like they should have had Criston Cole die in last week's episode. Watching it now, I feel even more strongly about that. I feel like this would have made a good ending of the previous episode, and to have it just start out this episode, I think, is poor placement, because I feel like that last episode was building towards his death, and it should have been resolved within that episode. And to start out this episode, like, I feel like I was cared less about it because we're just beginning the episode. I don't know. I guess on the binge it wouldn't matter, but I don't know. Plus I just feel like that would be like a dramatic ending, like, Criston Cole dies and everyone rushed and then you hit the credits. Like, I think that would have been better than ending on his speech like they did last.
Well, wasn't the last scene of the episode like all the dead Gold Cloaks? Was it not? Of last
yeah. It was, but it's like his speech. They did it like overlaid his speech over top of that. Like they showed the visuals and of like Daemon walking in when he was making his speech, so it was kind of combined. But even so, like I think this would have been a better ending. But anyway, the I was surprised that it followed the books as closely as it did. Like the dialogue in the scene was like right out of the books. Because I think what they set up in the show is different because I don't think it made sense for Criston Cole to ask for his men's lives because it feels like in the previous episode, the whole point was to die and they knew they were going to die. So I thought they were going to change that from the book, but whatever. And they also
they did actually change it because in the book he asked for all of their lives. In the show that he asked for only his other men's lives, to imply like he wants to die. He doesn't necessarily want all his men to die.
Sure, but I thought they would just leave that part out entirely.
Yeah.
And also they left out a line from the books where I think it was the Stark guy said, you get no hero's death. There'll be no song sung about you, something like that. And I can see why they left it out there because that would have been too on the nose. Because that's what they're conveying. Because in the previous episode, he was talking about how I'm the greatest warrior and I'm going to die a great death, and to see him just get shot in the eye like that, I think to have that line would have been unnecessary, and it was better to show not tell. So I agree with that decision. But yeah, and I'm still waiting to see more from Black Aly. We saw her be the one who killed Cole, which I believe is true to the books as well. But I have a feeling they're gonna do more with her, but we'll see. But yeah, other than that, like, the whole thing with the men faking their deaths, like that's show original, like setting up the trap. But I did like that. That I did not see that coming. That was really interesting. But yeah, he's dead, thank God. But anyway, Alyssa, we'll start with you on this one.
Well, Brandon, you missed the start of the video. Right here. I raised my glass to Criston Cole right at the start of the video. You weren't here yet. Yes, here's my wine. Cheers to Criston Cole's death. I love this scene. I mean, I see where you're coming from, that it could have been at the end of last week, but it didn't bother me. I love this scene a lot. I'm glad that it happened in the first 5 minutes of the episode. If you're going to do it at all, if you're not going to do it last week, just get it over with at the beginning of this episode. I loved everything about it. I love the Monty Python. Aha! Like they all jump up and just start fighting down. That I was not expecting that either. That was really cool. Although I saw a video that said that I didn't remember that from the book, but I saw a video that said that they did that in the book. I didn't remember that, but I think you're right. I don't think it was in the book, yeah. And to see him go out so unceremoniously like that after his speech. I mean, I guess they wanted to give that speech to Criston himself instead of someone else, which is fine. And it just shows what a conceited asshole he is in the show. Like, he's like, I am the greatest warrior in Westeros. Like, here's my problem with Cole in the show. In the book, there's a case to be made. He is one of the greatest warriors in Westeros. Like, he isn't this mopey, emo, like, annoying character in the book. Like, he is portrayed as a great warrior. He's really great in battle and a great, like, general and great at strategy. In the show, he's just this, like, pathetic loser. Like, oh, Alicent will sing songs, will hear the songs. Dude, Alicent does not give a fuck about you. Like, she does not give you a second thought. You never cross her mind ever. And like, so it's like, I don't know, it's kind of sad. And he takes her little her handkerchief or whatever, puts it on the sword, and I'm like, dude, she doesn't care about you at all. Like, I don't know. He's just portrayed as this mopey, emo, pathetic loser that he is not in the book. He's just a very poorly written character, and I'm not going to knock the actor. The actor did what he could with what he was given, but yeah, I'm glad this character is now off the show, and yeah, and as far as Black Alley goes, I mean, in the book, she doesn't do a whole lot in this part of the story, so the show could give her more to do than, but she really kind of becomes the character after the Dance of Dragons is over. She does things, but she doesn't do so. I mean, they seem to be making a point to show her a lot, and I think this actor was announced before the season, so they may do more with this character in the show than she does in the book, but she doesn't do a whole ton in the book.
Well, I mean, the way the books is written as a history book, they would just say like, "Oh, and Black Alley was at this battle, and she was
yeah."
And if they didn't show her in the show at all, like I wouldn't feel like, "Hey, where's Black Alley?" I'd be fine. But the fact that they are showing her makes me think they're gonna do something with her.
Yeah. And Brandon says he's bummed by the speed of Cole's death. I loved it because it's just so unceremonious and like it's what he deserves. Because he's like, I want this grand death with. They're gonna sing songs about it, and he doesn't get that. He gets the opposite of that, and I fucking love it. Which is was also true in the book as well. But especially in the show, like, oh, the greatest warrior in Westeros. I couldn't wait for this death to happen, and they did it perfectly. I loved that he died just like, oh, I'll fight you guys, and like just take some arrows and just we're done with you. Yay, Black Alley. She's like, shut the fuck up, dude. But we were all Black Alley in that moment. Like, shut the fuck up, dude. Arrows. Like, it's great. Love it. Loved it. Probably my favorite scene of the whole episode, if I'm being honest with you. But Darrin, what do you think?
Well, like I said, I really have very little notes to put on it. I liked the surprise, like you, Mark. I was completely surprised. I was like, oh, is there some other force? Did they drop the bodies off here? You know, because yeah, it did look wrong and had there. I mean, it was a great surprise. It did give Cole a moment to shine, man. He was kicking butt in there. You know, maybe it seemed almost a little too much, too choreographed like, but it was a great moment to go in and show like, yeah, he is a great warrior. And the unceremonious way of him being dropped, Alyssa, was perfect. He gets his moment to take the thing and put it on, and you're expecting it's going to be the big charge, and we're going to have that glorious moment, and 2 in the side, 1 in the face. Just, I loved it because you're right. It's really what ultimately he deserves. There will be no tails. They'll be like, Criston Cole, yeah, we ambushed him. We dropped him some arrows from a distance. You know, if anything is ever going to be said at all, that will be it. And again, I doubt even that much. I do need to ask, am I supposed to know who she is, who dropped, because it was very much like focused on, and I'm like, oh, who was that? I'm looking at my wife. I'm like, do you remember? She's like, I do not remember who that. Maybe someone we saw. I don't know.
In the show, they haven't really focused on her much. She was the only other time she's been on the show was when she was celebrating with Daemon and all of the River Lords. So right now it's like a wink to the book readers at this point.
Okay.
So, to the show, but like Marcus said, hoping that they do a little bit more with this character. My guess is probably maybe see more of her in season 4. I don't know, but like, yeah. So if you aren't familiar with the book, I don't think you're necessarily supposed to know who she is per se.
I think it's more of like setting her up for
like setting her up for maybe things that she's
Yeah.
going to do in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine they would have to, because that is basically kind of an introduction. It just felt a little weird to me because it was presented like I'm supposed to know who this is. And it felt like it was presented like I'm supposed to know who this is. And all I could think of was, fuck, I can't remember who that. Do we remember? Was that last season? Is this all the way from season 1? Is that, that's what it is. So, I mean, normally I really like these Easter eggs, and maybe it was just how it was shot. There maybe could have been a way to do both of them, but you could tell, like, because I think there were some shots by her POV of Cole, or like just over her shoulder or something like that. I felt like there was like you had that point of view, and then you had the reveal, and I was just, and then they did nothing else with it. So they didn't talk about the character anymore. There was no comment. So it felt a little clunky to me, not knowing who this person was. And that, I mean, again, if I had any criticism, that would be it. And that's exceedingly minor, only because I felt a little confused. But no, this was exactly what I was hoping for. And I think that they delivered it perfectly.
Yeah, it's funny. The person I was watching it with, when they showed Black Kelly shoot the arrows, she's like, "Who is that? Is that a sand snake?" Like, I was like, no. But
I mean, literally, the only scene she's been in is like singing and celebrating with Daemon and all the river people in like episode 2 or whatever that was. But yeah, so they really
she had a couple verses in the song. Yeah,
yeah, she had a couple.
Okay.
Yeah,
I remember that, and I like that scene too.
Yeah,
so.
that's the only thing she's done in the show so far. So you're not really supposed to know who she is if you're not familiar with the source material.
But I will say that Cole's death did like kind of mirror Jace's death, where it's just like arrows, suddenly coming out of nowhere, which I think was done intentionally, and I think that worked well. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to Daemon. So we get the small council scene, which I love, where Daemon is like saying, "Oh, just send me to Tumbleton with the dragon. I'll fly up and just kill Ormund." And the Frey and the manager is like, "Oh yes, because dragons are such precision creatures that and they can magically disseminate between who's evil and not." And he just like throws something at them, which I love. But then Alyn was like the voice of reason, being like, actually I agree with these snooty lords, actually. And then so Daemon's sent to take care of the Gold Cloaks. So we see all the Gold Cloaks quitting, which I kind of saw coming. Like when Daemon first showed up, he's like, "They will be avenged," and like, these guys are they're not gonna really buy that. And then of course, later you see him dressed as a Gold Cloak, and this other guy like chasing him. Did he not notice like the silver Targaryen hair? I guess he had the helmet on, but you could still see the hair like under the helmet. But anyway, so it was a trap. He kills the dude, and the dude's just like basically describing like sort of guerrilla warfare as like, the more you kill us, the greater our numbers will become. I think like when they tortured that one guy and put out his eyes, that actually allowed them to recruit more people, and that's why they put out the Gold Cloak's eyes in response to that. And he of course just kills them in the air. So I don't really know. Well, we did hear that the Valyrians are going to try to take over for the Gold Cloaks, but other than that, I'm not sure what else they can do, and it seems like this is going to be a consistent problem. I'll get to Ulf in a second. Let's just start with Daemon. Darrin, we'll start with you.
Yeah, the hair apparently was only for us if we didn't notice it as the audience, but was blind to the person right behind them. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like Daemon getting in there and getting down and dirty and finding the information out and all of that. I did have to think of Hydra when he was talking like, yes, kill me, kill one of us, and 2 more shall take my place. But I gotta say, man, like knife in the ear, it's just it had me all squirmy during that entire interrogation. So that was I found extremely effective. And I like the fact that we've got, again, that he's kind of getting in there and trying to figure things out. It's just, yeah, they could have done a slightly better job. You know, it would have been nice for us to have been surprised that it was Daemon when we could clearly tell that it was, like you said, because of the giant locks of silver hair behind. But perhaps when when most of the Gold Cloaks have either retired, quit, or are dead, you can't really be picky. Whoever's wearing a gold cloak, you got to go after. It's the only way that you get the gold for killing the Gold Cloak. So, yeah, I mean, I also thought, I mean, just backing up slightly with everyone's kind of quitting because we haven't getting paid and we're kind of scared and all of that. I wouldn't have minded like a couple of them, but it seemed to be like all of them were quitting. And considering that he's the one that pulled them up and everything, it seems like an overly strong response there. But I mean, I get where they're going, that they're desperate and that's how they're going to have to bring in the Valyrians. But I guess we'll see how that actually plays out.
Yeah, now that you bring that up, I feel like some of them would be wanting revenge and wanting to go out and kill people, rather, at least some of them. But anyway.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And I mean, I don't see, if they're the cops and they're concerned about their families, that should be something else. You're concerned that you're not going to get food. I'm sorry, you're the cops. You're going to find food and be able to provide for your family. I mean, I get that a few of them are scared because they don't want to be killed, but I agree with you. I would think there would be several more that would be like, oh no, man, we're getting revenge.
Yeah, to be honest, it's the scene starts with just that one dude, the older guy, like having his cloak off. I thought he was the only one who was quitting. And then at the end of the scene, all of them take their cloaks off. Like they all still have them on through the whole scene. And at the end, they all take them off. I'm like, oh, like I actually wasn't expecting that. I thought it was just that one dude.
Yeah, pulling back, there was like a couple of them that had them in their hand.
Yeah.
So I thought that maybe a few people were going to go, but you're right.
I only noticed the one dude had it in his hand, the old guy who was talking, and all the rest of them that looked to me still had them on. Maybe there was a couple guys I missed but he's the only one I noticed who had it in his hand. And then all of a sudden, the rest of them go, didn't take it off. And I'm like,
yeah, the second time I watched it, I did notice there were a couple who already had them off. The camera was just focusing more on that one dude.
Yeah, but a lot of them still had it on, right? And then they just took it off.
Yeah, which is what confused me. I was like,
yeah,
really?
No, I agree. I totally agree with that. Like, I think it was a bit. I know. Yeah, we got to show them struggling, and it was a little bit much. Like, you could still have a few Gold Cloaks, we'll just have fewer of them. Did I misunderstand the ending scene? The Valyrians look like the Valyrians aren't going anywhere, as far as I could tell. Because wasn't Corlys like going, yeah, we're gonna go, and then what's his name came and like intercepted them. It didn't seem like the Valyrians were anywhere.
There were already Valyrians in King's Landing. In the small council, Rhaenyra asked Alyn, and he said there's like 70 Valyrians in King's Landing, and then Rhaenyra says, well, I want more. So he went out to get more, so the more is not coming, but the ones that are already there.
Are already there. Okay, I missed that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they have a little bit of something, but probably not enough because
Yes.
wanted more. Um, yeah, were we gonna talk? Or are we gonna get back to the small council again when we talk about Rhaenyra? Because I had something to say about Rhaenyra and Daemon's conversation, but I don't know if we're gonna cover that when we talk.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk more about Rhaenyra later. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot more to add to Daemon's scenes in this episode. I'm more interested to see what happens when Rhaenyra inevitably finds out that he lied to her, which I think might come next episode. Right now, it's just like, yeah, whatever. I don't know. I've never been super interested in this Gold Cloak storyline to begin with, and I did. And I don't know. I didn't think about Hydra, but now you're right. Like, I don't know. It was just the whole thing was a little cheesy to me. I don't know. It was a little cliche, but I love the Hydra analogy because it does. Yeah, it is a lot like that. And I don't know. And I guess this was the same dude who Mark you mentioned last week, who was also like one of the guards that Alicent told to stand down, and we saw him again last week. I think he was one of the guys like passing along the message or whatever. I don't know. I'm annoyed by them like presenting themselves as some sort of like rebellion. Again, how did this get organized so quickly? Like it's this well-oiled machine, and like there's no way to get this shit together. And the only possible way is that this would have had to started before Rhaenyra took King's Landing, and it doesn't make any sense. So I'm just ready for this storyline to be done, to be honest with you, or to move on to the next phase, to wherever they're heading with this. Yeah, that's not my favorite storyline.
Yeah, it does seem it's not quite filler. Like it's nowhere near as bad as the Daemon tripping balls and Harren Hall for an entire season, but it does feel kind of like unnecessary. I mean, I guess it contributes to the whole of like Rhaenyra's grasp on King's Landing falling apart, but the specific like Gold Cloak thing is like, yeah.
And it might be leading to something more, but we'll see. I mean, we can talk in the spoiler section where this might be leading to, but that happens later in the book. This might be setting some foundation for something, but yeah, right now I'm just not super interested.
All right, so let's talk about Ulf and how we see him changing guards at first outside Tumbleton when he's like whining to Hugh. It's an interesting thing, and it's brought up, and we'll talk about Hugh later, but it's brought up in his storyline as well about how this having dragons they thought was a huge like boon, and like, oh my god, we're so much better, we're knights and not commoners anymore. But in a way their lives didn't improve that much, and Ulf definitely feels that way. He's like, they won't even let me go to taverns anymore. and it's funny that he runs into Daemon, which I think is very quite serendipitous, but whatever. He runs into Daemon. It's like, hey, watch where you're fucking going, and sees this Daemon, and like Daemon, of course, is like, what the hell are you doing here? You're supposed to be in the Red Keep, and he tried to do this with Daemon before, and it never worked. He tries to relate to him, but like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, you understand. Everyone needs their pleasure, and he just like smacks him around. It's like, I'm gonna cut out your eyes if you leave the keep again, which is, why would you cut out the eyes of one of your vital dragon riders? The whole Daemon's whole reaction just seems like dumb. But anyway, Darrin, your thoughts on Ulf?
Oh yeah, no, this is one of those where I was like, this annoyed me. Okay, and all of King's Landing, with apparently only Daemon is the only Gold Cloak wandering around here right here. Ulf, you're gonna run into him. I understand what they're doing. I just thought this was just incredibly They do this a lot. This is just too much coincidence, too contrived that they would run into each other here. So again, I get where they're going, and I do like that idea of, wow, becoming a dragon rider is not the grand glorious thing that I thought it was going to be. On the other hand, okay, you have a dragon, and that kind of pulls you into a duty, and you've been doing this for like 2 weeks now, so maybe like calm down a little bit. Or I mean, I don't know how much time, but does not seem to be a whole lot. They are in the middle of things, so I think there's also a bit of, whininess to it as well. I think he could probably get some ale in the Red Keep if that's what he was looking for. Find the guard shack. There's got to be something that he could connect in. That would be a little bit more interesting, that he was trying to find a way to it, and then he was running into issues. That would be a great place, by the way, to run into Daemon and be like, hey, you're still not supposed to be drinking, not even here, then get up there. I know I'm going off a little bit, but I did not like this scene at all, because I just thought it was completely contrived so they could, set up this bigger split. And again, why would you put out the eyes of one of your dragon riders? Also, hey, he's a dragon rider, man. I know you're a little threatened because he's not a pure, Targaryen or anything like that, but maybe don't be so much of an a-hole. That's the only thing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, you're making a lot of the points that I would make as well. I kind of see both sides of it. I kind of see, I can feel for Ulf and for Daemon. Well, not for Daemon, but I guess more. I feel what you're saying about Ulf being a little whiny. I don't know. It's like, what did you expect? Like, you chose to go. Did you understand the assignment? She was looking for dragon riders to help her in the war. Did you not understand what being in a war would be like? Like, yes. Did you not think about this at all? You were just like, oh, I'm going to ride a dragon. It'll be fun. Like, what did you think was going to happen? So I have zero sympathy for him. Like, it is very whiny. Like, this is what you signed up for, dude. Like, what the fuck did you expect it to be? So I'm annoyed by him, but at the same time, why is Daemon being such a dick? Is such a horrible asshole to Ulf? Like, this is. Do you not understand how important the Dragon Riders are to your war right now? I know Daemon is frustrated because he wants to just go and burn everything, and Rhaenyra is not doing that. But you still have to have those Dragon Riders on your side. That is your biggest advantage right now with everything else that's going to shit. And there is a lot that is going to shit on Rhaenyra's side. Your one thing that you have is more dragons with Dragon Riders. So being a total asshole and threatening to cut out the eyes of one of your Dragon Riders is not very smart. And what is with the cutting out the eyes? That's like his go-to move, I guess. That's like Daemon's thing. Like, I'm just gonna cut out everybody's eyes. Like, I don't know. So both of them annoyed me. Like, I don't agree with either of them in this scenario. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I think Ulf. And they kind of explained it in the scene in the other episode where they knighted him, where they asked what he wants to be called. He's like, Targaryen. Like, I think he was expecting, like, because he's knitted, he was expecting to be embraced as a Targaryen and be a royal and have all this status and money. And he's finding out and also, like, he has no idea what wars are like. I think he had no idea the practicality and what actually was going to be asked of him in being in war. He just thought he'd be this rich, famous royal guy.
Yeah, he thought he was just going to hang out in the Red Keep and women were going to give him grapes and wine and he was just going to be this rich dude. And like, no, you're fighting a dragon, dude. Like, what did you think is going to happen? I don't know. Yeah, you're right. He totally thought that, but he's wrong.
Well, and he's been living on the Targaryen name effectively in his stories and all, and that fact that he's, has had that potential connection there, or the realistic one, so I think it's one of those where he's so much formulated this idea of what this would be. And it's just, as life often is, reality does not match one's imaginings of how things are going to be. So I think that also gives him maybe kind of a double fall. But also, dude, you have a dragon. Come on. And yeah, Daemon could just be like, man, we can't have you stabbed in the back out here. Let's go. He could have done that slightly gently and still hit his point, I think.
Well, he's been just awful to Ulf for the whole time. Like, he's just been absolutely just awful to him.
Yeah, and I mean, but Daemon does have a bit of a point, because those people were going around killing Gold Cloaks. They would, if they recognized Ulf, they most certainly would kill him too.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a point, but as Darrin said, he could be a little.
Yes, 100%. I agree.
Cut out his eyes.
I agree with you, Alyssa, that both of them are not behaving well. Both of them are making mistakes. But anyway, let's move over to talk about Baela and Alyn. It's funny, see, I watched the show now with a group of people, and one of the people when we were watching this scene, when Baela was kind of obviously flirting with Alyn and getting close to him, she was going like, "No, don't do it! Don't do it! Come on, no, don't do it!" I think I think Alyn would technically be her uncle, I suppose, but they're Targaryens, so Valerian, whatever. But I don't know. I'm starting to wonder if this, writing wise, was earned, if it seemed a bit sudden, because we got a scene with them earlier this season, which was nice. It was setting up for something, but I thought maybe something far down the line, and maybe you needed more scenes with them before you jump straight to this. So I'm iffy on this one, and their decision to do it. And also because, speaking of people I was watching it, one of the people I was watching this with was like, I thought she was into his brother more than him, because they had a scene in the previous episode with her and Adam kind of flirting with each other. But I don't know. Maybe she's into brothers. I don't know. Alyssa, we'll start with you on this one.
Maybe she's gonna hook up with Adam next week. Like, this is gonna be like the love triangle. This was absolutely out of complete nowhere. This was not earned at all. She had one scene with him earlier in the season, and then she had a lot of scenes with Adam last episode. So, I was kind of with your friend when they started getting closer. I was like, don't do it, because it makes no sense. It was very forced. I think you could have just had a nice scene between them without having to go there yet. I mean, you can still build up to that later if that's where you want to go with these characters. And her husband, or I don't know, were they married yet, or were betrothed, whatever.
Betrothed.
It's been dead 3 weeks. Could you wait a little bit longer? I mean, I don't know. I did not buy this at all. I think this would have been. I like their dialogue there. Talking about Corlys and all. I like the exchange just as much as I liked her exchange with Adam last week. But we didn't need this. Yeah, let's build. If this is where we're going, let's build to that a little bit more. This was a little premature, I thought.
Yeah, way fast. And yes, last week we had that exact discussion with Adam, because it was just like, isn't he her uncle effectively? So this would be the same thing. And I'm like, okay, so last week, like, Adam was almost like exactly professing his love type kind of thing. Thought that was going to build up. This did seem to come out of nowhere, because all I was thinking was Adam last week. Again, also with uncle. So is this now you want to try some odd love triangle thing? So there's a strife between the two brothers. Is that where we're going from a dramatic standpoint? Which, I mean, and basically, to sum up, all of that annoyed the heck out of me. Again, another one of those scenes I was just like, why is this here? You're just making drama. And this is really going to annoy me if this is what you're going to be doing. So, yeah, I didn't. If you want to do a romance, fine. Give it some build up. Give it some leeway. This, no.
All right. Let's go ahead and move over to Rhaena. Another quick scene we get with her. And I love how this scene just starts in the Eyrie with them we don't even see it, just on screen, just some random guy being thrown through the moon door and Lady Jane being like, that's always so pleasant. I always find that interesting. It kind of sets up the kind of person that she is. And then of course we find out, we saw Rhaena earlier where she had a scene where she saw a dragon in the background. I didn't know it was Moon Dancer. I couldn't tell which dragon it was, just some dragon flying around. But we do find out in this scene that it was Moon Dancer, and so that she went to go talk to her sister and was apparently spotted, and word got back to Lady Jane. She freaked the fuck out because she's like, yeah, the only thing you have going for you right now is that Rhaenyra thinks you're dead. So show up where anyone can see you is the dumbest fucking thing you can do. Like, don't do that. And basically said, if I have to tell you again, then it's going to be the last time I tell you, sort of threatening sort of thing. And yeah, I still don't really know where they're going. I mean, I have a theory, which I can get to in the spoiler section, but it's just, yeah, it felt like this scene was to remind, hey, Rhaena still exists, and let's give the actress some screen time. That's what it kind of felt like to me. Anyway, Darrin, we'll start with you on this one.
That would be the only reason to have this scene in here. I don't think this accomplished anything. Either her seeing the dragon there or coming. So did she go to the Eyrie to see if her sister was there? And that's why she got shot.
No, so what I think happened is that she flew towards her sister's dragon trying to find her, and people in the Vale saw her, and the word got back to Lady Jane, so Lady Jane had her brought to the Eyrie so that she could like slap her around, tell her not to do that. Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of lifting to ask the audience to do on that. Again, for a scene that basically accomplishes nothing outside of maybe reminding us of what's going on and where she is, because everything ended exactly in the exact position it was when it began. So I thought this was completely unnecessary. Outside of showing that, yeah, living with the dragon, not good for the diet. Really not. The berries did look juicy and nice, but that complexion means, man, she's not getting a balanced meal at all.
So I heard a theory on there was a video I watched that said she's picking these berries and there are nettles on the leaves of the trees, that she's going to go by the alias of Nettles, and so just make her into the book character, which I think that would be a bit heavy-handed. Like, I hope that's not what they're going to do. Like, it's fine. She's Rhaena Nettles. It's not in the show. We don't need to go there. But I thought it was kind of funny that they had that theory. But yeah, again, this is kind of where I feel like the pacing is a little off, because it's like they introduced this concept of Daemon I mean, maybe they should have just waited a little bit to have that scene. I don't know, but like an episode or two ago, where they had Daemon. That was 2 episodes ago, right? Where Daemon met her and showed Rhaenyra the shepherd's head, or whatever that dude was. Showed her the head of that guy he killed randomly, and said it was Sheep Stealer's Dragon Rider. And then you just kind of they want the big, discovery, the Rhaenyra finding out who it is. Like they want that to be at the end of the season, obviously. I'm hopeful it could come actually in the penultimate episode, maybe next week. But they want to save that for the end of the episode or the end of the season. So it's kind of like in between. There's not really anything to do. So maybe they could have waited a little bit longer to have the scene with Daemon and her. I don't know. I'm not a writer. I don't know. The pacing just feels it feels dragged out. And so yeah, let's just throw this scene in here to remind the audience, hey, Rhaena exists. I mean, and that's about that's about the only purpose of it. And to give the actress who plays Lady Jane something to do every once in a while. I do like her. I still can't get over the fact that she was in that weird ass site. What was that show called again? When she played Mother?
Raised by Wolves.
Raised by Wolves, yeah. I still can't get over the fact that's the same person, but yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and Alyn's actor was in that too.
And Alyn, Alyn was her like husband, and he was father and she was mother. Anyways.
Yeah.
Raised by Wolves. That was a weird show. Anyways. Anyways, I don't know. It was just to like give the actor something to do, and yeah, it wasn't necessary at all.
All right, so let's talk about Aemond and Alys. And although I don't think these scenes are as long or drawn out or boring as the Daemon trip and Harrenhal stuff in season 2, it has that same vibe to me where every time we cut to it, I'm like, this again. But I guess I think it is setting up for something important, and it is interesting seeing Daemon. I'm sorry, slipped there. Aemond. It's interesting seeing Aemond being like, I want to go out and fight in Vhagar, and Alys being like, oh, well, maybe the dragon left you so that people couldn't fight. I still making me think that she put a spell on the dragon or did something to Vhagar to make him fly away. I still get that impression, and then shows him a bunch of dragon eggs, and I did not see that one coming. Like, yeah, what's the deal with that? And the way she's like, seems to be flirting with him and being like, oh, the Targaryen which had princes, and so I don't know. It seems like they're implying something with that. But anyway, Alyssa, we'll start with you on this one.
Were they implying that she wants to have Daemon's babies and give them these dragon eggs? That's
what I took from it.
Yeah. That's what I was. I thought that at first. I was like, why is she showing him dragon eggs? Like, that's weird. But that's the only conclusion that I can come to, that she wants Aemon's babies. And it's interesting that Aemond like directly asks her the question that I brought up last week that a lot of the fans were asking is, why doesn't she just kill Aemond and claim Harrenhal for herself? And it seems to me that the answer was, because I want you to put babies in me, and I want to give you all these. She wants to be royalty. Everybody wants to be royalty in this show. Like, it's not what it's cut out to be. She wants to be the mother of the future kings, it seems to me. And so that she saw an opportunity. So that's why she didn't kill him, to claim Harrenhal. So, and I think we did discuss that a little bit last week, that what she wants seems to be more than just Harrenhal. I speculated that there was it was like revenge for Daemon and Rhaenyra, which may still be part of it, but it does seem that they're going more in the direction of she wants to have Aemon's babies and be the mother of future kings. Is what it kind of seems like, and she even has dragon eggs for them already.
Yeah, So, if I remember correctly, I think when she was telling Daemon off, she said something along the lines of, "My hunger is much bigger and deeper than you could imagine," or something like that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it makes sense. It's coming together. So that kind of answers the question: why did she not kill Aemond and just get the reward of Harrenhal? So yeah, um, yeah. I don't know. These scenes don't bother me nearly as much as the Aemond or the sorry, I keep getting their names mixed up. It's so easy. Daemon tripping scenes last season. Yeah. I'm really liking Alys. I like Alys as a character. She's just so creepy and weird and and witchy, and I kind of like her. And they don't spend a ton. They don't like spend too much. They don't dwell on it too much, like they did with Daemon last year. So yeah, it's fine. Um, uh, Curious to see. I'd like to see Vagar again. I'm hoping we get Vagar back next week. I want to see Vagar back. Like, and I agree with you, Mark. I do think she somehow did something. I really feel she's very suspicious.
Because she is a dragon, disguised as a human, now wanting to breed with the Targaryens herself. Sorry. Yeah, this is honestly, look, I'm just going to say it. If we found out that Alys is in fact the assassins that have been going around and killing everyone because she seemed to be able to travel when she showed up with Ulf and them at the beginning of the season, she seemed to be able to like go distances all very quickly. That would be awesome if she was like some evil magic user that was really just manipulating things on the backside. That would probably be endlessly fascinating. I know it's not that because they don't really use magic in this world in that kind of sense. And that kind of bumps me out because I think the alternatives are just much more boring. You're right. This does explain why she never ends up really, why she splits with Daemon if she eventually sees that I want a mate, I want a husband, I want to be royalty, and you're committed to your, was it niece again? We can do a lot of this in the Targaryens. So I can't have you, so I must find someone else. That kind of makes sense, to be perfectly honest. That's the one through line that does, because again, she had expressed to Daemon that she wanted Harrenhal, and now she has the opportunity by killing Aemond to get Harrenhal, and even Aemond asks her that, and she says, no, I want more. Okay. I hope this means that you haven't just decided to change the storyline and add some extra stuff, because once the dragon eggs came out, I'm just kind of like, and this is how Daenerys got her dragon eggs. Again, I don't know what their pathway is going to be, but I felt that was the kind of like, let's connect to Game of Thrones right here. Because
No, well, I think they did that last season when they showed the two younger sons of Rhaenyra go off to Essos with the 3 dragon eggs that look just like the 3 that.
Okay. So
yeah.
that was that. All right. Very, very good. Well, again, I guess just showing dragon eggs, maybe it's just hey, remember Game of Thrones also had dragon eggs. It does in many ways kind of like make Alys's motivation and drive and such bigger. It just feels like they went one way and they're swerving now in a different way. And I'm like, okay, are you doing this just to add storyline, or does this explain something from her from the very beginning? That's the only thing that I'm feeling, because it's starting to feel like, well, we need more Alys stuff. She wants to be Daemon's boyfriend now or girlfriend now and have babies, and here's dragon eggs. It felt a little like that. So again, I guess this is why I've got to agree with Alyssa so much. It's like, so much of this I'm going to have to weigh whether it was good or bad, depending on where they go with it. Because otherwise, some of this stuff kind of feels like, all right, we need a new storyline to throw in and keep these two going. Go. Otherwise. Yeah. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, they've never really been clear on what Alys's motives have been. I mean, you've always can tell she's up to something.
Right.
And like, Mark mentioned earlier how she had said to Daemon, like, my whatever it was, my ambitions are so much more than Harrenhal or something. So that kind of, I don't feel like this one has come out of nowhere. I can, I'm okay with it. I feel like it's something that maybe they haven't directly set up for it, but it doesn't feel like it's out of the blue the way that Alyn and kissing Baela was to me. So this one I'm a little more okay with, but I agree. Let's see where they're taking this.
I mean, she is effectively offering her own dowry,
Yeah.
with the egg. So, I mean, I guess that does sweeten the pot a little bit. But she's still not royalty, so I don't. Well, who cares what?
Aemond seemed open to it, though.
Yeah,
he seemed into it as far as like he seemed, because he was. It was almost like, oh, I'll have sons and they'll be kings. So, it was some. It seemed like he really liked that idea.
Yeah.
To me.
Well, I think she also got to him very well with the "you're not going to be alone" type kind of thing, because I think that is like one of Aemon's weaknesses. Yeah, he's a bit of a mama's boy. He's a bit of a loner. He's pushed everyone away because he's a little psychotic. But that always reveals a natural lonely heart. But I think that she did kind of tap into something there that does ring true.
All right. So yeah, let's talk about Aegon and Larys to get a very brief scene this episode, where we see Tyland burying the body of the dude that Aegon killed in the previous episode and talking about how they need to get out of there before they're discovered. And I was thinking, weren't there people with Tyland? He said he had sellswords. Why weren't they there burying the body? Or were they not there with him? I don't know. But I did think it was funny because the grave was super shallow, and he's like, no, that's it. And Larys is like, oh, you have to do it more, otherwise they'll find it. It's like, well, here's the shovel, feel free. He's like, okay, fine, let's stop here then. Which I like.
Digging a hole is hard, people. You think it's all easy with
oh
this.
yeah,
like rocks,
absolutely.
like 2 inches underneath.
Yeah. And then I like how Tyland is still trying to convince Aegon to go to Castle Rock, and I love how he just asks him, do you think I'm a terrible man? Because that's what Larys called him in the previous episode, and couldn't he just lie and just say, no, of course not? But he was like stumbling and being like, you see, I don't, well, there's good and bad in everyone. and I think like Aegon kind of saw through that. It's like, okay, yeah, fuck you then. All right, we'll just do what Larys says. So that was interesting. So Darren, we'll start with you on this one.
Another great scene also because it's basically short. We get little vignettes with them as they're along their journey, and I think that's kind of the perfect dose of these two right now. I was also wondering, like, wait a minute, who is this again? Because now he's all of his armor and everything is all pulled off, and I haven't seen him like that since way back in the middle of last season. So it did take me a second to realize it's like, oh, that's Lannister. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. But I honestly like that little back where you just asked, what do you think of me? Am I a terrible person? Well, it just shows that Lannister is a horrible liar. Just a horrible liar. Because, I haven't seen someone like stutter and stumble that bad in ages. But it's also one of those where I think it's a smart way of Aegon almost acknowledging himself and seeing what his response. I mean, honestly, I think that was a very wise question to ask. It was a quick way to very much clarify everything. And I think he's getting a better view of himself so he can determine how much of a lie it was. I think he was probably expecting Lannister to be able to speak slightly more eloquently than he did. Because that was, again, a pretty bad stumble. And so let's just know, we're just gonna stick with Larys's plan right here, and we'll see what happens next. But I like this. Again, I'm a sucker for a redemption story, and part of me is kind of like, man, Aegon could end up turning this around and being kind of a decent person. I mean, probably not, but it could happen, and that might be an interesting story to follow. So I do like seeing these two. At the very least, it's always entertaining.
Yeah, I like what Daryl Seymour says in the chat. Aegon was like, "You're full of crap. I'm not listening to you." I mean, that's how I read it too. That he was like, he wanted to see how honest Tyland would be with him, and I think he actually trusts Larys more because he was totally honest with him. And which is weird that somebody would trust Larys. You never trust Larys, but the fact that he was just straight with him and totally honest with him, whereas Tyland, as you guys were saying, was like, "Whoa, you know, wow." And he was like, "Okay, two SOs it is then." And like, uh, yeah, I like this scene. It was short and sweet and straight to the point. This is another one that I feel like we're setting up for something, and we gotta wait till the end of the season to get to the thing that we're setting up for. But so we gotta kind of fill the time. It is a little bit of fillers, but in this case, it's a very short scene. It's to the point. It kind of gives us a little bit into to Aegon's character, into Tyland's character. So I liked it. I think it served its purpose.
Cool. All right. So let's move over to Hugh and how he sort of does the cliche thing where he sees a guy writing and beats him up, takes his cart and clothes and poses as a. Didn't the Hound do the same thing? Yeah, he did. And poses as someone selling stuff so he can go into the castle and does it to see his wife, and it's very interesting. This is like similar to Ulf, where being in Dragon Riders like not all that is like that he thought it would be, because he tried to sell Cat on, hey, you know, I can give you coin, a place to live, I'm a dragon rider, blah blah blah, and she's like, I don't care, like I never wanted you to do that, I wanted you to be with me, and you didn't do that, you weren't there for me, and I can't abandon my family the way you abandoned me. And it's interesting that he tried to force her out, I think mainly because he was scared for her being in that situation. And I did notice that he apologized. He's like, I'm sorry I did that. And I think it was sincere, but he's like, but that doesn't matter right now. Right now we got to go. But of course that didn't work. And presumably he had to leave alone. So yeah, that puts him in a very interesting place. Alyssa, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, going back to last season, and I only know this because I watched a video that pointed this out, because I don't remember last season, but that even when he told her he was going off to do this, he was like, oh, you could be a lady, and she was like, I don't want to be a lady, like I don't want all of this. She told him that from the beginning. But he's still like convinced that he, again, just like Ulf told himself this story of what it would be like, and I think Hugh did the same thing in a different way. The story he told himself was that, oh well, I'll make all of this money and I'll be a lord and a knight, and then I'll take my wife and we'll go off and we'll live this, fairy tale life together and it'll be all good. And she was actually never along with that. But he figured, well, once it happens, she'll go along with it. And I found it interesting that like she didn't even know. I kind of thought maybe she would have at least heard that she had gotten a dragon or something, but she didn't even know. Like, and all she knew was that he wasn't there for her. Like she went on, she had this hard journey from King's Landing, And then her brother ends up being killed, and he's there for none of that. And that's all that she knows. But going back to seeing like how she interacted with him in season 2, it's something that he could have seen as well, but he like just like all told himself the story of what it's going to be like. Everything's going to be great when I get a dragon, and he's kind of coming down to reality. Now, I mean, it's Ulf and Hugh's story are parallel, but in different ways. They both expected different things, but they're both starting to realize, oh, this fantasy that I created in my head of what this is going to be like it's not that. So I guess he's going to be leaving alone, and I don't know, what does he do now? I guess I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, this. I mean, I totally get where they're doing with the parallels of, being a dragon rider is not all that's expected up to be. This is not really life changing. This is you're going to have this story that you put in your head, and the reality is not going to match up with that, and there's going to be a lot more of a cost to doing this than a benefit or something along those lines, and I get that. I thought her anger felt a little over the top. Because I also think that things were difficult already, and that's one of the reasons that he went. But it's also, I mean, I don't know. I think also with her brother getting killed, that probably makes more sense of why her emotionally is so strong and so upset with him. Like, if you were here and I hadn't had to come here, then that person wouldn't have that guard wouldn't have laid their hand on me, and thus my brother wouldn't have had to have stood up and been against her or whatever. We always hyper blame ourselves for situations that go on, whether that's fair or not. I really didn't like him trying to force her to go. I mean, I get you're right with being upset and scared. Honestly, like, we gotta go, you're not safe here, and she's not really safe. I mean, that's why her brother is dead, because she's not safe there. So I get dramatically why that they're pushing this. It felt a little heavy-handed in order to get there, but again, kind of a minor criticism. I get where they're going, so I mean, I don't really have too much more to say on this outside of, it's another one of those where I guess it feels weird because, kind of like with Ulf, Hugh is drawing conclusions and moving much faster than he doesn't have the patience that really the situation demands, whether or not they're dragon riders or not. They just seem very impatient with their situation, and it's like, again, we're in the middle of a war, folks. There are things going on. It's your particular issues. Everybody's got issues. We got to do it piece by piece. So that's kind of the only thing is that lack of patience that both him and Ulf seem to have in dealing with their situations. And maybe that is something that's drawing the two of them together, and maybe that will go somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I am going to push back a little bit on what Darrin and Daryl in the chat are saying. I don't think she was over the top. If you go back and look at I saw a video that showed the scene from season 2. She begged him not to go. She never wanted him to go in the first place. He ignored her and then wasn't there for her when she needed him to be through all that hardship. So I thought all of her anger was completely justified, personally. Like, if you go back and see the way she was in season 2, where she's like, she really begged him not to go and he did it anyway. So I think all of her feelings of abandonment and her anger toward him, I feel her. Like, I don't think she was over the top.
Sure.
That was the way that I viewed it. I think it helped that some video that I watched showed that scene again. I'm like, oh yeah, she would never wanted that to happen.
This is one of those where it's like, that would have been a great scene to show in the previously on at the beginning of the episode. Because I often watch those. One, it will give you a hint of kind of where storylines are going to be involved or talk. But smartly done, it will remind us of those scenes because that was so long ago. That was last season 2 years ago.
I thought they did have it in the previous one. I could be mistaken.
Okay, then I'm an idiot.
Maybe they did. I thought I also watched it in a video, but I skipped a lot of the previously on, so that's why I was thinking I saw it in a video. They may have also had it in the previously on. I'm not,
well, yeah. And if they had, then it's just that's my fault. But yeah, I guess that's the only thing that I would say is just, wow, I guess I just didn't remember her being so upset at him. That does make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I did remember that scene from last season, so I was expecting her to like not really be okay with him and not be like, "Oh yes, you're a dragon rider, great." Like I knew that that it wouldn't go well. I didn't know it would go quite that badly, but I think it does match up. And I think Stress Free K in the chat also makes a very good point that she's just been traumatized, and I think that's also really explains her reaction.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so let's talk about Rhaenyra. Yeah, getting back to the small councils. Yeah, she wasn't on board with Daemon's idea to use the dragon as precision instruments, and instead it was like, oh, we got to bring out the knife, and so I like the way the show played this, where they didn't really explain what Rhaenyra is up to, and you see her, oh, we're gonna bring out the knife, and you see her meet with the Baratheons, which is interesting because they had previously like agreed to support House Hightower, and now they're like acting like, oh yeah, no, we totally support you, your grace, we just have to wait and deal with this. So I feel like, and this is actually kind of smart, because I feel like since Rhaenyra is kind of like winning the war at this point, I feel like they're like, maybe we shouldn't align with either one of these houses yet. Let's just like wait and see how this plays out, and let's use an excuse. Oh, Dorne's attacking. Oh, we got to deal with that. Sorry, nothing we can do. We got to deal with Dorne, and then later we'll totally support you. But it was interesting that she was just like, oh, he's like, because she threatened to hang him, he's just like, oh, I'll, what, anything I could do for you. It's just like, yeah, give me your belt. And I was like, what? She want him to drop his pants or something? Like, what? Why is she asking for his belt? But no, we do. And again, this is kind of clever. And we also get a scene later where Mysaria is like, oh, that person's the thief and whatever. It's like, why is she pointing to that? And then, yeah, we'll talk about the assassination attempt shortly. But but that was interesting, setting things up. And we also get a scene with Rhaenyra on the throne having an even worse time. To me, this scene like exemplifies that everything is going to shit. And then we see her cutting her hand on the throne, just like her father did in season 1 repeatedly when he was making a bunch of bad decisions. So it was kind of implying that, things are not going well for her at all. I like how when people were complaining about money, she's like, well, don't bother me about it. The Manderley guy, the master of coin, go bother him. And that didn't fly. And they were just, and the one guy's like, look, it doesn't matter who's to blame or whatever, but you're the only one we can turn to now. We're like, we need your help. And she's just eventually just like, no, fuck this shit, I'm out of here, and just storms out. And we'll also get to the Alicent stuff later as well. But just on the note of Rhaenyra, Darren, we'll start with you.
I mean, I do like her slow descent into madness, and I like that kind of flashback to her father with cutting her hand on the throne. How that very much alludes to, because I guess we'll jump right back, because since we're talking Rhaenyra, in that small council scene, we did have that great exchange between her and Daemon, and he was just like, what? Sage's like, well, father wouldn't have agreed with this, would have been something dad would. He's like, there it is. I mean, and to me, that's such a perfect encapsulation of what is really the weakness of Rhaenyra. She's trying so much to be like her father, who was not a good king. He really made a lot of mistakes, and he had a lot of issues, and he only benefited. The fact is that there wasn't any war going on. He was in a time of peace, and therefore his mistakes were not as critical. It did not have as huge an immediate cost at the time. So I do like that we have this slow little thing. It did take me a minute, with the take off your belt. I was like, well, where are we going? Because we don't get that follow-up scene for quite some time. So, it was like, it took me a minute to catch up with that later on. And I did kind of like all of that. But yeah, it's just things are working out for Rhaenyra the way that she wants it. And well, I mean, we'll get to the Alicent stuff, where all that is, but I do like those, that they are still continuing to have those little twins of like, she's losing it. Even in this one, they added the bit where she's staring up at some of the sculptures and things around, like she feels like she's being judged by, the castle, by her ancestors, where is her mind going? So I kind of like those little droplets in here, and I'm really hoping that blossoms into something really really interesting. But yeah, that's pretty much I got all with her.
Yeah, I'm glad, Darren, you brought up that scene with Daemon. I was going to bring that up too, because that was when Daemon, when she said, "Well, my father," and Daemon's like, "And there we have it." And I'm like, "This, yes." So I'm glad someone in the show pointed that out, that she is trying too much to be like her father, who, like you said, wasn't a very good king, but also he was a peacetime king, and not to his own doing. Like, he inherited a peace, and I mean, arguably, he's the one who started this whole fucking thing to begin with, for how incompetent he was. But he was not ever a king during wartime. So to follow the model of a king who never faced war in the middle of wartime makes absolutely no sense. But it just goes to show she has no clue what she's doing. She was never really allowed to really get the training that she would have needed to be a queen, and certainly not to be in the middle of this war. So she's just completely out of her element. And that's apparent by her trying to follow the lead of a terrible king who never was in the situation that she's in right now. It doesn't make sense to follow the model of a peacetime king during war. It doesn't make any sense. And I was struck by that Iron Throne scene. I was comparing it a little bit to episode 3, because I feel like in episode 3 she was trying to be empathetic. She was trying to, listen, and like she seemed to really like listen and care about what the people. Here she's just cold, and she's just like, "Oh, she died. I will light a candle for her at the next time I go to the step," which was quite honestly a spit in the face to that woman. But she was just cold and uncaring, the way that she presented herself, compared to episode 3, where I felt she was definitely like panicking and nervous and like hearing all those ringing sounds and all of that stuff, but at least she was trying to have empathy for the people. And now she's just like completely, seems like she has no feelings for them whatsoever. She's like, "Yeah, I'll say a prayer. I'll light a candle for her. Move on." Tormund Mandalay's fault. Yeah. Move on. Like she's very cold. So I'm enjoying this very gradual descent into the Mad Queen. I go back to what I brought up, I think, back in episode 3, when I saw this article or post on social media or something that's saying that we're getting the descent into madness storyline with Rhaenyra that we deserved with Daenerys. And I don't know how far the show is going to take Rhaenyra's madness. I don't know if it's going to get to the point where she hops on her dragon and starts killing innocent people the way that Daenerys did out of complete nowhere. If she were to do that, it would be a little more believable than it was for Daenerys. So, like, we're building toward. Yeah, I don't know how far the show is going to take it, but we're certainly building towards something, and we'll get to the Alicent scenes later too, where I just feel she's a lot more cold than she had been previously, and then we see her get her first cut on the Iron Throne. You want to be like your dad? There you go. You're cutting yourself. I can't remember if they've mentioned this in the show, but I know in the book it's like a big thing that, like, if you are cut by the Iron Throne, that means the Iron Throne is rejecting you. Like, that, it's a sign that you're not a good king or queen in this case. And I'm not sure if the show has pointed to that, but it is like a thing that if you're cutting yourself on the Iron Throne, like what was his name, Magar the Cruel or whatever, one of the early kings. Like, he got cut all up by the Iron Throne too, because the Iron Throne like rejects you if you're not a good king or queen. So I don't know how much attention the show will draw to that, but I find that very interesting. And it happens in the books. I was kind of waiting for that to happen in the show. Like, she's gonna cut herself on the throne. And in the context of the show, we know what happened to her dad. So it's really interesting to see her get that first cut. And I believe she got up and left shortly after that. Was that, if I remember correctly, she cut herself. She's like, I'm out of here. Like, you guys go whine to somebody else.
Yeah, that's where they keep the leprosy. Is in the throne there. So you get that, and then you become, a leprous, desiccated husk. That's how the throne judges you.
So in the chat, there was saying that Ormund is right, that Rhaenyra is too soft. I actually disagree with that. And because the thing is, we talked before about how she's trying to be like her dad, and that's a detriment. And that I absolutely agree with. But I kind of take her side against Daemon. You don't want to just go with dragons and burn everyone down who's supporting you, because Daemon was like, oh, well, Aegon the Conqueror burned thousands of people in the Field of Fire. She's like, yeah, enemies, not people that had bent the knee and supported them. So I do think, and her biggest fear, which I think is totally justified, that if she does do it, then everyone's going to turn against her, because it was like, well, why are we going to support someone who's probably just going to send a dragon to kill us all? So I get that. And I also don't think she's too soft, because the way she's like acting, the way she acted with the Baratheons was like very sort of like, she was saying something like, oh, and why doesn't your lord fear me more than some, bandit in the south or whatever? So, and also the way she acted with Alicent, which we'll get to, I feel like she is being maybe too sort of compensating for people thinking she's soft and being too aggressive.
I mean, I would certainly agree with that. I think, well, we'll get into more of the Alicent stuff, but I think that does become one of the issues. She can't find her place if she just, I don't know, would kind of trust herself. But I think that also because she's got, I don't know, unreliable advisors. For the
Yes.
That kind of makes it tough.
Yeah. All right, so let us talk about Gwayne and Ormund Hightower. Yeah, this is an interesting dynamic that they kind of hinted at. It was interesting to see the three of them with Darrin and how they reacted to each other, and how Ormund, he's seeming more of just like a stuck-up bully who actually, because we talk a lot about how clever he is and what a schemer he is, but we see now that he has his downsides and that he is a bit too arrogant, and the way he dismisses Gwayne at first when, he's like, so why are you not still fighting if Criston Cole's still fighting? He's like, well, it's folly. And he's like, well, is it folly? Then why am I doing it? And now, like, if Gwayne went off with Cole, he would be dead right now. And so, and it was also interesting hearing like Darren's perspective of like, don't leave me alone, like you left me with this monster. And then Gwayne is kind of threatening to do the same. Like, yeah, no, fuck this shit. I'm just gonna get the old town and screw this whole thing. But then you have the assassination plot, which again I thought was clever how this all came together and how they were hinting at it. But then you see these Baratheons show up, and it was like exactly like what Ormond wanted. Like he was even saying like, oh, the great houses will flock to us. And when it was announced that the Baratheons are coming, you see, that's the first of many. And then all the High Garden will follow and other people will follow. And so he wanted it too badly and wanted it to believe. And also we talked before about how his things of smells, and Rhaenyra found out about it and how that would be brought up again. I think this was it. I mean, it could be another example of it, but the way that they were all purposely like dirty and smelly, like I'm sure they were ordered, like show up there as like smelly as you possibly can be. And it was working because Ormond was like totally like caught off guard, not paying attention. And he and Darrin would totally be dead if Gwayne wasn't there. So it does show Gwayne's worth before you think. You kind of question Gwayne's worth because he was more of like a whiny, let's go stay it in kind of idiot. But now you do see that he is worth something because he's educated. He knows about the Baratheons. He knows what the Baratheons are supposed to look like, the specific Baratheon that this guy was posing as, and so knew that this was bullshit. And I haven't watched the scene twice, but when Gwayne first started fighting them, I think Ormond was still confused and being like, stop him, like stop Gwayne, because he thought he was just killing the Baratheons for no reason. But then he was like calling out like, these are assassins, and then so they went and killed them all. So yeah, and that was interesting. And then Ormond kind of apologized to Gwayne later. It's like, look, you saved my life. I appreciate that, and don't think so ill of me. If you want to go back to Hightower, go ahead. But then Gwayne was like, well, I know you're not suicidal, so you must have a plan. And cut. We don't know what the plan is. Surely we'll find out next week what that plan is. But yeah, I thought this was a very interesting dynamic. So Alyssa, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, that was an interesting transition because Gwayne asked him, what is your plan? And he pauses, and you cut to Rhaenyra going, state your purpose to Alicent or something like that. So it kind of like blended together. But yeah, I was like, I wanted to hear what his plan was, but we'll find that out. Someone in the chat was saying that Ormond is running circles around Rhaenyra. He is for the most part, but this was dumb luck that Gwayne was there. Like Rhaenyra would have won. Like Rhaenyra's plot would have succeeded. I thought it was actually a pretty smart. It's probably strategically one of the smarter things that she's tried to do, and honestly would have succeeded if Gwayne didn't happen to be there and recognize the Baratheon. If it had just been Ormond and Darrin, they'd be dead, and then Rhaenyra would have been successful. So I actually think that strategically that was actually a good plan on her part, and Ormond was just lucky that Gwayne happened to be there. I did have like a nitpick of the scene because he was like, oh, Aemond whatever his name was, Baratheon, Aryan Baratheon or whatever, has light hair, he said. What happened to dark of hair? Stefan Baratheon, dark of hair. Like, that was weird to me. I thought they all had dark of hair.
I think the word he used was chestnut hair.
Chestnut hair? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure
exactly. What does that mean? What is chestnut hair?
I thought it meant maybe light brown. Maybe I don't know.
Okay.
It's dark with a hint of red.
light of hair. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, Ormond just got lucky. The Gwayne happened to be there, and yeah, someone saying Gwayne leaving Cole was the best decision. Yep, Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm, fuck you, I'm out of here. Like that was definitely a great decision on Gwayne's part. Um, it was really interesting, yeah, seeing Darren's point of view for the first time because we have just seen Darren like with Ormond and just having to go along with what Ormond wants. So I was not sure how much Darren really like understood how bad Ormond was, or maybe to a certain extent he was going along with it. I wasn't really sure until we get this scene where he's like, "Why are you leaving me with this monster? Please help me! Oh my God, he's horrible!" So I thought that that was very interesting. I don't know. I kind of because it's been hinted at before that Gwayne could be gay, so it was kind of. I know we do like the Targaryen incest thing, but I was like, there was a little bit of a vibe to me between those two characters. I was like, I hope they're not doing that. Not because I don't want to see a gay scene, but for the same reason I didn't want to see Alyn with uh, Baela because it wouldn't really make any sense. But I almost kind of got a little bit of that vibe. But no, it was more of a you're my uncle. You're the good relative. Like, please help me. Um, and Gwayne was like, no, I'm gonna go back to Old Town to like basically get ready to take over once Ormond gets himself killed. That's basically what he was saying. Like, I'm gonna have to run House Hightower in a few minutes once Ormond um, gets himself killed. It does seem like he is staying. Um, yeah, and Ormond, to his credit, yeah, he does apologize to Gwayne at the end. I think because he sees Gwayne now as an asset now that he can use. I mean, everything for him is what he can use to further his needs. Um, so that's interesting. Oh, and Darren like recognizing that um, Ormond just wants to give himself power. Like, and he's like, you and I both know I'm never going to be king. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, I found all of that really, really interesting to hear Darren. I want to see more of Darren's point of view. So, Gwayne's presence here makes this storyline really interesting to me. So, let's see where we're going.
Oh yeah, no, Gwayne became interesting, immediately interesting after these scenes. I did like him. Again, that first intro is just showing how much of a dick Ormond really is. Once he walks away and Darren catches up and we get that exchange back there, that to me was really interesting because it's like Darren is not the idiot that we have kind of seen, or not so much of an idiot, but the cowed, uncertain, he's playing a role that he knows he needs to play in order to survive. Again, makes him much smarter, much more interesting. And the back and forth with Gwayne, even the fact that he may be like, yeah, well, you probably won't die here, at least. You should be okay. You'll be protected. He needs you. He needs to keep you alive in order to get what he wants. It's really interesting. It's just showing how much of a different game these two have versus Ormond. It's just like what their relationship is. And so I really enjoyed that. The fact that Gwayne spotted the assassination right off, I mean, not right off, but very, quickly enough to save the day. Yeah, just throws how much more capable he actually is. Yeah, maybe he wanted to sleep in a feather bed. And he even mentions that, I think, at the beginning. He's like, I've been on the road for weeks. I just want a feather bed and to lay down. But he's not incapable. And maybe even this time with Cole has sharpened those skills a little bit more. He definitely has something to bring to the table. And yes, I think Ormond recognizes that, and that's why he does apologize. What I found hilarious was just the reveal of just how much of a useless wuss Ormond is. He's smart, but he is smart in a very arrogant way. He's educated. He may have plans and ideas, but he is so full of himself and so sure of what his position and his education gives to him. He does nothing in the assassination attempts. He totally would have died if Gwayne wasn't there. And he immediately throws up afterwards because you feel this might be one of his first actual exposures to combat. That's what I got out of the scene. Like, oh my God, you've never actually seen combat before, have you? Now, maybe he's competed in tournaments and stuff like that, and he's got something, but that is not at all what I got from this scene. And I totally didn't even think about the whole Rhaenyra revealing he doesn't like smells and stuff, and yes, show up covered in dirt and shit and just embarrass him and throw him off his game because he does. He's staring at their boots and they're like, they have come into my kingly room looking like that. You know, you can kind of see that going on in his mind, and that's that distraction for him, which is perfect. And I'm sure with all of the sense, lovely sense that they had going on, that also worked very well. But yeah, I just I really, this is one of those where I was like, see, this was a really useful scene. This gives us some great character stuff. We get to see a little bit more what's going on. We get a lot of the danger and stepping forward to whatever the reveal of what Ormond's actual plan is, which we'll not be seeing this episode. So yeah, I really enjoyed all of this.
Well, I mean, I think we may have gotten a piece of that plan at the very end of the episode, but yeah, but we will get to that. So let's now move over to Alicent. Which, as Alyssa mentioned, is very anticlimactic. I totally agreed. Like last episode, it was like, oh no, they're trapped, and the light went out. Oh my god! And this episode begins with just random guards finding them. Anyway, and they're going, okay,
there they are.
Yeah. And
yeah, someone asked, I think earlier, how that happened. I mean, I think they just like went into the room, like, where are they? They're locked in here. Where could they be? And then like probably Rhaenyra or somebody knew about the secret passage. So
yeah, or they just like felt the walls. And
yeah. But like, I mean, there would be no reason for them to not be in that room. They were locked in, so they were like, oh, there's a secret passage. So that's
yeah. But I guess what it does do is have put Alicent in trouble with Rhaenyra to the point where she has to come clean about Helaena being pregnant, because Rhaenyra, since they're not going to be able to escape, Rhaenyra is going to find out anyway. So might as well explain that. This is interesting because Rhaenyra is like, oh, why do you still think I'm a villain? Why do you still think I'm going to harm them? And she's like, look, if Helena's child is a son, like, you're gonna have to do something, even if it's just holding him hostage in order to take down, use him against Aemond and Ormund. You're definitely going to. And I think, she kind of buys that, but then it's just like so pissed off. And it is interesting that, Alicent is like, look, punish me if you must, but leave Helaena alone. She can't stand being locked in the room. But she's like, no, fuck that. No, you doing this shit. You're I was going to be lenient, but now I can't. And then later, of course, we see Alicent go to Rhaenyra because she now needs to try to have something to bargain with, and she's like, look, I know where Aemond is. If I tell you this, will you let me go free? She's like, no, fuck no. But she still has, like, because Alicent's not in a position to bargain, so she tells her anyway, like, oh, he's in Harrenhal. Helaena has dreams and can see it. I do very much like that Rhaenyra buys it immediately, because she references is it Daenerys or something like that? The dreamer from
Rhaenyra, the dreamer?
Rhaenyra, yeah, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, that had the Targaryens that avoided the doom, the fall of Valyria. And so I like that. I like that she instantly believes her, instantly recognizes it, and is like, okay, but I mean, and it's also the whole thing about she was like, yeah, but I had my dragon riders look for Vhagar, and Alicent's like, no, I didn't say I knew where Vhagar was. I said I knew where Aemond was. And this is also interesting because it harkens back to what Alys was telling Aemond about, if you go find Vhagar, you will be found easier because they're looking for your dragon. But it's interesting that Rhaenyra believes her, but it was like, look, if I send people out to kill Aemon, if what you say is true and I send people out to kill him, then he's just gonna see them and hide even deeper. So I'm gonna send you instead. And it's interesting that Alicent was like very resistant at first, and she's like, what of Helaena? She's like, oh, don't worry, I'll be here looking over Helaena for you. So that seemed like an implied, like, you better not do anything funny and go through with this, otherwise, Helaena will be at my mercy, sort of thing. So she is like getting quite vicious now, and I do like how Alicent says, didn't I warn you that it would come to this? Because she said earlier in the season that you're going to do things that you wouldn't think possible. She's like, no, I wouldn't do that. But already she's calling back to that. And then, and then we see Helaena asking Alicent not to go, saying, oh, you don't need to go. But she's like, no, like this, we need to be free. So I guess she's thinking that once Aemon's dead, that Helaena will have no reason to to keep her and Helaena there anymore, and so she wants to go through with this. Now, whether or not she can actually kill her own son is another interesting thing that we'll find out. So yeah, Alyssa, we'll start with you on this one.
Wait, I got the impression that she was sending she said she was sending a sword, so I thought she was sending an assassin with. Was she expecting Alicent to actually do the killing herself?
Oh, that I don't know. She said she'd send one sword, somebody so that gave me the impression she was sending Alicent with the sword. But maybe you're right. I don't know. I'm not sure.
It seems like other people were going with Alicent.
Well, we saw that in the preview for that.
For the next episode. Yeah. I had got the impression that Alicent was there to be like, oh, we're on your side, blah, blah, blah.
Sure. I mean, yeah, sure.
I don't know if Alicent is actually.
But even if she doesn't actually, like, kill him, she's still participating in it.
Yeah. And so this is one of the things I was talking about that is off book. This is not a thing that happens in the book. So where are they going? And I don't know. What's Alicent going to do? What is Aemond going to do? I mean, we do kind of. I don't want to spoil the trailer. If people haven't seen the trailer, don't want to know. But we kind of get a hint at where kind of where that's going to be at. Whether or not Alys is going to be buying this at all. So yeah, this is one of those things where we're like, interesting. I wonder what they're doing here. Because this is completely off book. But I did like a lot of the interactions between Alicent and Rhaenyra. You're right. I liked how she brought it back again to see, this is what I told you. And and again, it shows like Rhaenyra is growing colder and harsher. We're just seeing that all throughout the episode. It's just very noticeable compared to how she was in episode 3, back when Alicent said that to her, and she's like, no, I'm never going to change. And like, already it's 3 episodes later, and she's much colder, much harsher, and I think we're going to continue to see her go in that direction. I want to say again, I really like Helaena in this season. I think they're like doing more with her, giving her a little bit of a personality, whereas I feel like before she was just there to say weird stuff, and like I almost felt like she wasn't able to talk very often. Like she actually is, you're seeing like what she thinks, what she feels. She's refusing to eat. She just wants to see the moon for some weird reason. And yeah, so I like what they're doing with Helaena, and I love that Alicent was able to pick up that Aemond is in Harrenhal just by looking at that weird ass uh, embroidery that she did of like Aemond like in the fetal position. I guess that was in Harrenhal. Um, and I agree. I think it makes total sense that Rhaenyra would just be like, yeah, I totally believe that because her whole reason for wanting to be queen was based off of Aegon's dream. So, of course, she would be okay with it. Another thing we do see in the trailer is for next week is that Rhaenyra is going to be like to Helaena, tell me what you know. Like she whether Helaena is going to tell her anything, we'll see next week. But yeah, it would make total sense that she would believe that right away. So yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say in the previous episode, I thought that Helaena did outright tell Alicent, "Oh, he's in Harrenhal."
Oh, I don't remember. I know she said that he's in Harrenhal, but he's not on fire or something. Or
he's on fire but not burning, or like burning
fire,
but not by fire. Yeah,
not by fire. Did she say he was in Harrenhal? I remember her saying that he's burning but not on fire. But
yeah, I thought I remember her saying that, like, he's in Harrenhal because Alicent's no, he's not there. Yeah, but
but seeing the embroidery seems to be what triggered her to be like,
yeah, I mean that even more. Yeah,
that was like, oh, okay, that's why she did that. I wasn't actually sure how much Alicent knew or understood about Helena's abilities.
Yeah, they never really explained that or showed her talking about it.
Yeah, because in previous seasons, it definitely seemed like they were like, oh, Helaena, what you're saying stuff. And like, not really, especially Aegon. Aegon was like, you crazy bitch or whatever. Like, he didn't get it at all. So it's interesting to see that Alicent knows that. And I buy it. I mean, it can be like something she pieced together off screen. That's fine. But it's interesting because I didn't really know that Alicent actually understood that about her daughter.
Well, it works for the script, so it's easier to just make that happen. I write it down.
I don't have a problem with it. I'm
No, honestly, those things don't bother me all. I'm right with you. I like that Rhaenyra instantly was like, she's a dreamer, connected it to it immediately, because that is part of her history and why the whole Song of Ice and Fire is. I gotta say, for the most part, all of Alicent's stuff just annoyed the heck out of me. I think Rhaenyra was extremely correct with everything that she came back. She's just like, look, I've been trying to be nice to you, and I can't cover this up. Guards found you. If I had found you, if you had gotten back, that would be one thing. Guards found you. Word's going to get out. Now I'm going to look weak. And all of Alicent's kind of like shimmering and adjusting. It's just I got kind of annoyed with that. I was just like, you can't ask for anything. You've put in a bad position. What do you expect all of this stuff to be like? So, I completely got the impression when Rhaenyra went to say, hey, I could send one sword, maybe somebody that he kind of likes or recognizes, that the implied is that you're going to go kill, if he's in if Aemon's in Harrenhal, then you're going to go to Harrenhal, and if he's there, you kill him, and then you guys can go free and everything will be fine, and we'll wrap this all up. That is exactly what I had implied from the end of all of that scene. Yes, of course, we get the, didn't I tell you were going to make choices like this and you weren't going to like it? Which, yes, is true. To me, it rang a little more empty because I was also like, yeah, but you're the one that put her in this position to have to make these choices. So, I mean, you're kind of like, oh, see what I said I was going to do. It's like, well, if you weren't doing what you're doing, if you brought another candle, if you had an idea of where you were going, you lost the cats behind the bookcases or whatever the heck that they were, and those Scooby-Doo things that just flipped around. I was waiting for the guards to just pop out with that. So, yeah, I mean, I it makes sense that this is all off book because it does feel a little manufactured to me, but I do like the Helaena stuff, and I do like the fact that they're giving her a little bit more of a substantive, character, just presence, as opposed to just being that funny girl off in the background. She's turning into one of those like, she may be the key to everything, which what a stress-free case says in the chat. Now, with next week's, if there's going to be a confrontation between her and Rhaenyra, I could see how that would happen and how that might end up backfiring. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because I think you definitely saw that seed get set in Rhaenyra's head right now, knowing, oh, there's a dreamer here that knows these things. That might be useful. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really interested in seeing them interact. I don't know if they've interacted or if they have. It's not been very often. And it looks like there's going to be a pretty direct confrontation. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that next week.
Cool. All right. So let's end on Corlys. We get the scene where Alyn goes out and asks for more men to help protect King's Landing, and he's like, "Oh, really? Does she? Oh, her needs never end, or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, I thought you would have spent your anger by now." And he was like, "Oh, well, why are you still helping her, supporting the person who won't give you legitimacy?" And it's like, "Well, you did for a long time," which is like a nice zinger, which I liked. And I also liked how, Alyn also says, like, "Well, no, it's not her that wants this. Like, I want this." And then we see, we also saw him like hanging all those dead bodies of the triarchy people to fend off the thing. So it shows that he was, doing a good job clearing everything. But then, then we get to the end where he's like made up his mind. He's like, "You know what? Yeah, let's go back to King's Landing. There's need of it." But then, too late. A bunch of people show up, kill his men. Take him hostage, presumably, and I believe it was that guy, right? That guy that was hanging around Ormond, like his second-hand man.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
He's from the book. It's like Lord something.
Yeah, it's like an S. Stout. It's not Stout. It's something like that. And he has Orphan Maker. Orphan Maker is his sword.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember that.
Yeah. I watched a video that was making a big deal about that. I just wanted to talk about Orphan Maker.
Right.
That's the best name for a sword. So that's
all right.
Brandon, are you still in there? I haven't seen Brandon talk in a while. He would definitely know this guy's name.
Oh, right.
Starts with an S. It's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't.
Lord guy who was in Star Wars Andor.
That's what I call him. Lord guy who was in Star Wars Andor. He actually has a name.
Yeah. So, Darren, we'll start with you on this one.
I like the scene between Alyn and Corlys. I love the zinger back to him. I thought that was a kind of a perfect stuff. And this is all Alyn stepping up into his position, and he's making his stand, and and proving himself to be a man of his position that he is stepping into. I mean, it's a nice bit for Alyn too, and to have that confrontation and that ready to move forward. I love that. The idea that Corlys is finally at a point like, good point. I think I've done enough, and we need to do our thing, and we do have our duty, and we should move on. All of that, fine. The mass killing at the end is, again, another one of those, like, it's like the guards or whatever. It's just the magical killers that just pop up everywhere. The problem is I don't believe anybody should sleep in Westeros, because how many people are attacked in their sleep in one form or another? I think half this war is ambushes and attacking people in their sleep, seems to be, and dragon attacks. I guess that's the primary descriptor of all of the battles in the Dance of Dragons here. So, I mean, if they do end up kidnapping Corlys and holding him hostage, they did put the bag over his head. That would make me feel slightly better that not everybody is just being assassinated. Definitely no more guards are, and I don't care how much you've been fighting Corsairs. Apparently you suck in land combat, so you're all going to be killed. And I guess the reason why is it's kind of like with the guards at the end of last episode as well, and that whole killing of the Gold Cloaks. It just seems like we've got these magical assassins working for Ormond that can go anywhere and attack anyone and do anything. And like you said, when did they set this up? I mean, this is outside of the city and so on, but it's still because of the extremes of the attack on the Gold Cloak and how it was ended and the way that they end up here. It just makes me feel like these are magical assassins that can kill anybody. And they're not faceless men. There was in no way established that these were faceless men. So I don't know. I guess that just kind of annoys me. If Corlys isn't dead, that'll make me feel slightly better. But the magical untouchable assassins are feeling a little overused to me at the moment. But maybe that's just Ormond's way. That's all that he's got. That's his card that he has.
Okay, I Googled it. I was wrong. It doesn't start with an S. His name is Sir John Roxton. That is the Sir guy who is in Star Wars Andor. His name is Sir John Roxton. And he seems to be Ormond's kind of second-hand man. I didn't really associate this with the magical assassins from like King's Landing, because to me it just seemed like Ormond specifically sent his second-hand guy, his second-in-charge guy, Sir Roxton there with a handful of his men who were in Tumbleton, because they could probably spare some of those. And like they just snuck up on Corlys because they weren't expecting it. So this part I'm okay with. The King's Landing, like well-organized terrorist group out of nowhere, I'm not okay with. But this didn't bother me as much. I just kind of saw it as like, hey, you, Sir Roxton, take a bunch of our guys and go sneak up on Corlys, and they did. So that's fine with me. This again is off book, so I am wondering if Ormond is going to try to turn Corlys to his side, because you see earlier in the episode he seems to admire him. He's like, oh yeah, Rhaenyra chose a really good hand. So I am wondering if he's going to try to turn Corlys to his side. This is kind of the vibe I'm getting. If I were to make a prediction, and again, this is so off book, so I have no source material to go on. I feel like the show is going to do making us think that Corlys is going along with it, but really he's not. Kind of thing, because there's reason to believe Corlys could turn on a Rhaenyra because he's pissed at her for not legitimizing her sons, but also I don't think he's gonna love that Ormond just killed a bunch of his men. Like he's very much like loyal to all his men. He likes his people, so I don't think he's gonna be a huge fan of that. So I'm wondering if they're. I kind of hope they do. It's a little cliche, but I have a feeling they might. It might be Ormond is trying to turn Corlys, and the show is going to do the, oh, Corlys has turned to Ormond. Haha, no, he really hasn't. Or I don't know. But we'll see. Again, this is off book, so I have no clue what they're doing with this. But that is my suspicion. And I did want to jump back to Alyn for a minute there, because I loved his comeback to Corlys, because I had been thinking, yeah, I mean, Rhaenyra is not being very wise by why not just legitimize his sons, especially since in the book she does. She's just like, here they are, and it's not a big deal. But Alyn had a really good point. Like, oh, so like you wanting to legitimize me right away? Like it took years and his wife dying, because he could never do it when his wife was alive, when Rhaenys was alive. So she died, and his his legitimate son, as far as he knows, is dead. So it's like, Okay, well now I can legitimize you. And Alan pointing it out, that was a good comeback. I do appreciate that. So it did make me think that Corlys is kind of getting over it a little bit. Alan did make an effect on him, and he was like, okay, we're going to go support Rhaenyra. So if they do that, and the show does try to play it off like Corlys is turning, I'm not going to buy it. So I kind of hope that that's not what they're doing. But we'll find out. We'll find out. This is apparently part of Ormond's big plan that we didn't get to hear about on screen. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too when Ormond was talking about, oh, I admire Corlys, and that's one thing she did right was to pick him as her hand. And the thing is that I think he's wrong. I think Corlys sucks as a hand, and that Alyn is like a much better hand than Corlys is. It's like, oh, those people who are self-made men, never trust them, and blah blah blah. You only trust the purebred. Snooty, chooty, chooty. Like that's what the Ormond calls himself as.
Well, yeah, but that would be his perfect undoing because it's his arrogance that's Ormond's bit, and that. Yeah. That's actually a great little comment because when he was saying that, all I was thinking was like, oh, okay, we see where you're coming from and what your downfall should be.
And it's also interesting because I didn't get it at first. I had to think about the note that Orwell presented from, we had a messenger from Tumbleton, and it was like, kick the dog and it will bite your hand. And I was like, huh? But then I thought about, hand, because Corlys is her hand. I get it.
I didn't get it until you just I was going to ask about that. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Because it was his way of saying it was direct response to the assassination attempt. Yeah. All right, so we can go ahead and wrap up this spoiler-free section of our discussion. So that means we'll be saying goodbye to Darrin. Darrin, thanks so much for joining us. Always great to have you.
Well, and it's always great to be here. Unfortunately, I won't be here next week unless I can get a good internet. I'm on vacation next week. I'm out and about. I don't know if I will have access to internet, so I'll let you know if I am able to connect or anything. But so I may not be here next week. We'll find out whether or not I was missing the giant Tumbleton battle. Just before the spoiler, if you saw the preview for it, that doesn't seem to be the case.
It seems like they're saving that for the finale.
God, please let it be the finale. Just don't let it be next season.
But these like episode trailers are sometimes deceptive.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Well, as I said, I will let you know. But if I'm not back here next week, everyone, please enjoy a full discussion with these wonderful people. Otherwise, maybe I will show up. Either way, enjoy the spoiler section. Thanks so much for having me, Mark and Alyssa. And I will talk to you guys in 2 weeks or maybe next week. We'll find out.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
Okay, and of course, if you're watching and you haven't read the books, you don't want to be spoiled, now's the time to dip out as well, because we are going to get full spoilers now. So, Alyssa, you had something you wanted to bring up?
I mean, no, there's a lot I want to talk about. I'm not sure where to start. Did you have anything to...
I guess... all right, so this is what I was going to say about Ulf. Because I mentioned earlier, like a couple spoiler sections ago, how like they're really telegraphing that he's going to turn, and now they're like really telegraphing it. Like they're being like so
fucking obvious with it.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm talking about Daemon being such a dick to him. Like, what are you doing? Like, he's like, Daemon is the direct cause of him turning.
Yeah. And it's to the point where I thought, like, Darrin even said, oh yeah, he's gonna turn. Like, I think it's like obvious, but I did notice that in that scene where Daemon like beat the shit out of him, you saw, I think it was the same like little girl that was spying on them before, is like looking at that and running off. So this might be how Ormond finds out about Ulf and tries to corrupt him.
And I was thinking that's part of his secret plan that we don't get to hear on the screen.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah, that might be.
There's a line, I think it's in the trailer for next week, where he says something like, I have a move, or I have something, like I have a chess piece. He says something about he has a piece in play, or something like that. And I took that to mean Ulf.
Actually, I thought that meant Corlys when I heard that from the trailer, but maybe it would make more sense for it to be Ulf.
Yeah, because he already has Corlys. Yeah, well, yeah. But yeah, the little girl ran. I noticed that too, so I think that is a clear sign they're going to try to get Ulf over onto their side.
I'm more confused about Hugh now.
Yeah, I mean, they could still do a 24 because
true.
Despite the fact that his wife said get the fuck out of here, if they captured her and said we're going to kill her, he would still want to do what they said to. He would still want to save her. So he wouldn't be like, oh, fuck her, I don't care about her anymore. Like, he would still want to save her. So they could still pull a 24. I don't. And I don't know if we've explained this to people watching what a 24 is.
Oh, yeah.
In case you don't know, remember the show 24 with Kiefer Sutherland? They just did the same tropes over and over and over and over and over again. And one of the things they did over and over again was to have somebody kidnap Jack Bauer's girlfriend or daughter or mother or somebody he loves, and like, if you don't do what I say, Jack Bauer, we're gonna kill your daughter or girlfriend.
Well, I mean, they did it so much that it wasn't just Jack Bauer. It happened to other characters.
Yeah, it happened to other characters.
Yeah, like there was this couple, I can't remember their names, but it was like a man and a woman who were both agents. And then one season, the man got kidnapped and the woman was forced to do it. And then the next season, the woman got kidnapped and the man was forced. Like, they did this like at least 2 times a season. Like,
yeah, no, it's what caused me to rage quit the show. It was the middle of season 6, where the ambassador from the Chinese ambassador Jack Bauer is like, Jack Bauer, if you don't do what we say, we're going to kill your girlfriend. I'm like, I'm done. I'm never watching this. And I haven't watched a single minute of that show since. They had like 3 more seasons after that. I was like, I'm so over it.
Yeah, I watched those seasons. You were not missing anything.
The same things over and over. So that's what we mean by a 24. That they're going to hold his wife captive and be like, if you don't do what we say, we're going to kill her. So I think that's certainly a possibility. I think somebody could spot Hugh. Somebody could have been spying on Hugh and his wife and put 2 and 2 together and make that connection. So it still could be that. It still could be, I don't know what. Is Ormond going to offer him something better than Rhaenyra? I don't know. What else do you think another possibility would be besides the 24?
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe that he realizes being a dragon rider is not all it's cracked up to be, and he decides that Rhaenyra, I don't know. It's hard.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's hard. Like I'm gonna be surprised.
Yeah,
I hope it's not a 24. I think it might be more interesting if it was something different. Like maybe it's just Ormond offers him something else and being like, I don't know.
A 24 is the only thing that I can think of right now. But I don't know. I don't know. Oh.
And while sticking on this topic, I was also going to bring up Gwayne because I think he's going to serve the purpose of, and which will be in season 4, of being involved with the eventual downfall of like Ormond and Darrin, because I think they're going to play it similar where they're all going to end up like being dead before the second battle even begins. But they had all these other stupid lords who aren't in the show. But I think they're going to use the dynamic they got set up with Gwayne and Darrin somehow and Hugh and Ulf will be involved in that somehow. It's so hard to predict this far out, but I think it's going to be like Gwayne is going to be for the long run. It's because this point in the books he's dead, but
he's been dead for a while. He dies in King's Landing.
Yeah, but I think they're gonna replace him with the other random lords.
But he still has to die eventually.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Like I think he'll die in that downfall of before this battle.
Yeah, that makes sense. I could certainly see them doing that. I don't know. I also felt like that the show could just completely change things and like just kill off Ormond and Darrin by the end of this season and just have them die in the Battle of Templeton, which would be a complete change from the books. But I don't know what the show's going to do.
You can't put anything past them, sure, but I feel like that. I don't know. I don't think they do that. I think at the very least they got to keep. I think they need to keep them both alive because I think. I don't know. I mean, I guess they could have Hugh's and Adam's death and all that be totally different, but I would prefer if they stuck because I think usually for major beats like that they stick somewhat to the books, like not precisely, but usually they don't skip over major beats like that.
Yeah, you're right. They probably won't do that.
But oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna change the subject to Rheana.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I had a theory, and I don't know if this is true, but like we saw in the preview for next week that Adam and Baela like see, oh, what's that? And so I have a theory that they find Rheana in Sheepstiller and that they sort of get on her side and realize she didn't do anything wrong, and that they go and like Baela goes to Rhaenyra and asks like forgiveness for her or something, and that puts Rhaenyra and Baela at odds because I'm still waiting. There was a scene in the original season 3 trailer that had like Rhaenyra sort of yelling at Baela and like grabbing her face, and we haven't gotten that yet. And I'm wondering if that, and then that's how Adam and then Baela in the show is going to join him. That's how he's going to be at odds with Rhaenyra, and that's what's going to put him at odds. Not he's a bastard, because I still don't see they're going to do that. But yeah, that was my theory.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that scene from the trailer. You're right. We haven't seen that yet. So that could be my only thought about that is, would Baela go to Rhaenyra knowing that, as she said last episode, that like Rhaenyra won't even look at her? Like, would she think that would be successful?
Well, here's another possibility. Maybe Baela finds out about Rhaena, and Rhaenyra finds out that Baela knew, and then Rhaenyra confronts Baela.
that could certainly happen. And also, I think obviously she's going to turn against Daemon because.
Oh yes,
because Daemon flat out lied to her. So it's going to be a lot of. I think Rhaenyra is going to end up. I think we're going to see something similar to what happens in the book, where Rhaenyra is just going to kind of lose it and turn against everyone, but not for the same reasons. I don't think that she's going to want to kill all the bastards. Like I still don't see Rhaenyra doing that, but I do see her, because I think they're going to have to tie it directly into Jace and Jace's death and how that affects her. So I think it's going to be, she's going to turn against everybody who is protecting Jace's killer, which is going to be possibly Baela, Adam, and Daemon.
Yeah. I definitely, I think that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I think the show, like my impression of this episode in particular, were the scene where she was in the throne room and everyone's like, and she's just like, fuck you, I'm out of here. I feel like they're moving too fast with their downfall. Like it seems like because they still have to introduce like the shepherd and all this other shit, and it seems like her downfall's like speeding along and is gonna happen like sooner than it needs to.
I don't think so. No, I don't. I mean, I think they're going at a good pace actually with her downfall. I don't know. I still don't think we're going to see the shepherd or any of that stuff till season 4. I think she's going to be left in a pretty bad position at the end of season 3, but she's still going to be on the Iron Throne.
But it just seemed to me like the people are already ready to turn on her.
Yeah.
At this stage.
Yeah.
But I guess the show has a way of dragging things out.
Yeah.
They certainly could.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Yeah. I don't know. Can I change the subject?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
What are they doing with Alicent going to Harrenhal? I watched a video where it's like, oh, I think they're going to, I think it was Brain Pilot. It was like, oh, I think they're going to change. There's no way they're going to kill off Aemond because he still needs to die later, but they might change the book and kill Alicent. I was like, there's no way they can kill Alicent. She's one of the only people who survives this whole thing. They can't kill her now. They're not killing Aemond, though, either. So does he end up keeping it? Like, how off book are they going to go here? Like, that's where I'm like, this is off book. How are they going to kidnap his mother?
So
how off book are they going? What are they doing?
My thought of this is that it's going to be inconsequential and it's just a way for them to eat time and give Alicent some screen time, and that it's not going to actually lead to anything. Like Alicent's going to end up back at King's Landing or something eventually. Like she'll be fine, and Aemon's still going to be hanging around Harrenhal and have the fight with Daemon. They'll be fine. They're gonna get to the destination from a different route. They just need to give Alicent more screen time and have Aemon put out his mommy issues. That's my feeling on it.
So she's just gonna go back to King's Landing, not having killed Aemon, and just sorry.
Yeah, well, maybe she'll go somewhere else and wait out and be involved in some other storyline for the rest of this show, but end up back at King's Landing after the Hour of the Wolf and all that bullshit.
Yeah,
they could take a totally different road, but she ends up at the same place. They're not going to kill her. I agree.
Yeah. I was thinking, are they going to have him hold her captive? It's like, that's just weird. I don't know.
I mean, but I haven't reread this part recently, but she doesn't really do much. Like,
yeah, no, she just acts like a raging horrible bitch, and like.
I think she's not involved until like Aegon retakes King's Landing, and I think she's not involved in his death plot. I don't think, but I could see the show doing that though.
Yeah.
Because she's a different character, so she might be back in King's Landing by that time. Maybe she ends up going to Dragonstone and being with Aegon. I don't know. They could do something totally, because she doesn't do much in the book, so I think they could do something totally different with her as long as she ends up back in the same place.
Now, I kind of had a theory about what they could do with Aegon. I actually am I don't think that it's going to become true anymore, because the trailer, it looks like Aegon in the dark, he's looking at something, and you also mentioned in the preseason trailer so I think I don't think he's going to Essos. Like I think he's
I think that's definitely not going to happen.
But one thing that I thought is that he could try to go to Essos, and then that's when he coincidentally runs into young Aegon, and he's the one who saves him and takes young Aegon back to Dragonstone with him. And then, so that's how he gets there, rather than Rhaenyra taking him and holds him captive. And that's how he is there to watch his mother get eaten, is that the other Aegon takes him there. But I don't think that's going to happen. That's just a theory that I had come up with.
I feel like young Aegon and young Viserys have to be in Pentos by now, because they left a long time ago.
I don't know. Did they? We thought Joffrey went with them, so I don't know. I think I could see the show going, oh yeah, they're still hanging out in the Vale. They haven't left yet because that's what they did with Joffrey. I swear they said Joffrey was going with them.
Yeah, but this would be like some Game of Thrones, like the Hound and Arya wandering through the Riverlands for 2 years kind of thing. This is because they left like in the middle, like episode 6 or something last season, and like the Triarchy went all the way from Lys to there, and that was like now 3 weeks ago. So it doesn't take a ship that long to go from the Vale.
So
to
how are
Pentos.
they going to? How can they be in Essos though? How could they be in Essos? Maybe Aegon goes to Essos and gets the other Aegon. How could they go to Essos? They have to be. Or Viserys could stay in Essos, but Aegon has to be in.
This is what I thought was going to happen. I thought that
has to be.
So I thought that random pirates were going to attack that dude in Pentos. And this might not even happen until season 4. I don't know. They were gonna attack that dude in Pentos and try to kidnap young Aegon and Viserys, and they would get young Viserys, but then someone there would like sneak away young Aegon, and they would take him to King's Landing.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Because in the book it was pirates that had young Viserys, so they could stick with it.
They could stick with that. Yeah. Aegon the Older, though, he's not going to Essos. I think.
No.
I'm hoping the next episode is the big dragon episode. We see Vhagar again. We do see Sheepstealer in the trailer, and we see Sunfire come back. Hopefully.
Yeah, it's got to be next episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of agree. I don't think they'll do the Battle of Tumbleton next episode, but I'm still thinking, because now I'm on the thing you said you heard on the YouTube video that the Battle of Tumbleton will be partly in episode 7 and part in episode 8. And I still think that could be a possibility.
What I heard was it's going to be 2 episodes, like 2 full episodes, which is not happening.
Oh, no, that's not. No.
Yeah, but it could be partially, and they could start it in episode 7 and maybe have a turn Hugh and Ulf at the end of episode 7, maybe, and then have the battle.
Thankfully, we know that they're not going to pull season 2 and end the season before the end, before getting to the Battle of Tumbleton, because we saw shots of it in the original season 3 trailer.
Yeah, and in the mid-season trailer as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we know what's happening. They're not going to pull a season 2.
Yeah. And have show all the Tullys and all the armies, and they're all on their way, and that's the end of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say something about Corlys. I don't know if I have much to say about, because he doesn't really turn against Rhaenyra in the book. She turns against him and throws him in the red in the black cells, or in the dungeons at the very least.
Yeah.
So
I think they might be bypassing that, and instead it's Ormond.
So I was wondering if they were gonna. I was wondering if they were gonna legitimately have Corlys turn against Rhaenyra, but I don't think so. I do think that they might do the thing that I was talking about, where Ormond tries to get him to turn, because he seems to admire him so much. But yeah, I think he's gonna have him captive, but then he's gonna try to persuade him to turn. Maybe
I don't know. He could. I think he could turn, because he does when Aegon retakes King's Landing. He's working with him and stuff, so they could go a different way, because in the book it was because Rhaenyra threw him in the cell, but if she's not throwing him,
I think the way I read it in the book is Corlys was done with fighting. He was okay, you're the king, fine.
Yes,
I don't think it was any particular loyalty to Aegon. So I don't see him switching sides. I see him, and in the book, he's the one who's we have to marry Aegon the Third Jaehaera. He's
Yeah.
like pushing that. So he just wants there to be peace.
Yes.
To be over with already.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is they could do something similar in the show.
Yeah. Well, then I don't see how going to Ormond's side would make that peace happen. So I don't think he's going to go to Ormond's side.
I mean, but maybe he's not on Ormond's side exactly. He's just trying to. I don't know, but I just
switching sides is not going to make peace. It's just going to be in your
no. Well, maybe he doesn't exactly switch sides, like, because I just don't think that Rhaenyra is going to throw him in the black cell. So I think they're going to.
No, that's not happening. No.
Yeah, so I think they have to get to him being in the same situation a different way, and maybe this has something to do.
He just goes back to King's Landing, and Aegon is taking over, and he's like, "Okay, I'm on your side now." I think that's all there is to it.
I don't know.
I don't think he switches sides until Rhaenyra is dead.
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with Corlys. That kind of threw me off too.
Dana's the dreamer. Van Brandon said Dana's the dreamer.
Oh,
well, back to our previous question.
Yeah. But it could be this similar to what I was saying about Alicent, that this is just going to be a side thing that they do, and eventually Corlys will go back to his original storyline.
Yeah, I don't think that because we have said we don't think Rhaenyra is going to do the all bastards must die thing. So that's the reason she turned against Corlys in the book. So I don't think that's happening.
No. Yeah.
All right. I don't think I had anything else to add. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
Nah, I think that's it. I think we can go ahead and wrap this up. All right, so thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to check us out next week, as always. It might just be me and you, Alyssa. And Alyssa, if you have anything you want to plug or what you're up to.
I'm just plugging this. I'll see you all next week.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all next week.